Okay, all right. Well, the anthems are over. Let's go and join our commentary team now in Dublin. Paul Marshall is with Jim Neely.
Well, it's getting colder by the second here in Dublin 4. There's a little bit of mist around, but that's not so much from the weather itself, but from the pyrotechnics. And that little cloud is just passing away now as Ireland come and have a little final huddle in the middle of the field, and the referee has a little glance round him, and he incidentally is Mr. Carl Dixon from England, the 43-year-old. His assistants or touch judges in old money are Pierre Brousset from France, Adam Leal from England, and the TMO is Ian Tempest, and the man who looks after the foul play incident is Dan Jones from Wales. This is the 39th game between these two rugby nations. Ireland have won 15, Australia 22, but Ireland have won 6 of the last 8 and have won the last 4 in a row, and that must count for something, Paul.
Absolutely, Jim. I think it's so exciting this evening. The tensions are ready. There's been fireworks before the game. Hopefully we're going to see some fireworks out on the pitch now. Obviously we've seen a rejuvenated Australia throughout that Lions series in the Rugby Championship, but they come here on the back of a terrible defeat by their Australia. So Australia as well.
This the 4th game of the penultimate weekend in the autumn series. Incidentally, Italy went down 14-32 to South Africa, having been in the lead. England came through and put the All Blacks to the sword, 33-19, having been behind. And Wales, that rugby nation that really needed a boost, got a boost with a 1-point win, 24-23 against Japan. Ireland to play from left to right, playing towards the Lansdowne Road end. Reese, a kick-off by Sam Prendergast, and it's gathered in just outside their 22 by the men in yellow. Now they move the ball away. Valentini back in the starting lineup gets it away. There's a wee half break there just outside Ireland's 22. Australia have got loads of zip and lots of power, and both zip and power in the presence of Rob Valentini, the 6'4" second row forward, back on the Australian side. Ireland up very quickly indeed. Wonderful piece of play by Dan Sheehan, but the Australian scrum half, the great Jake Gordon, gets to the ball and is going to kick. He does that right-footed down the far touchline, the Ireland left. Underneath it is Mac Hansen, who takes it beautifully and runs in field, where he runs into the Australian second row. Tom Hooper back on the Irish side. Little flip back inside from Tyg Byrne. Got off his red card with no more than a rap in the knuckles a week or two ago. And here come Ireland again. Now they've moved it nicely to the far side. Good driving forward by Jack Conan. Sets it up well. Light years offside by the Australians. Referee says play on Tyg Byrne. Very nearly found a huge hole. Taken away quickly by Ireland. A little chip to the near touchline. Gathered in by Tommy O'Brien. Puts it back inside to the busy Dan Sheehan. How he was missed last week in terms of his industry. Ireland up to the 22. Now they move it wide again. Away by Hansen. Somebody from behind me shouts move it wide, and they do move it wide, and they've got it to James Lowe, who's very dangerous off either foot, makes a little bit of inroads into the 22. Ireland overrun that ever so slightly. Here comes Tyg Byrne on his own, put to ground. Gibson Park gets it away. Prendergast, little flat pass. Nicely done, still there for Ireland. All the pressure coming from the men in green. And they managed to get across the 22. Jack Conan was held but released the ball and got up again. Quite illegal. Gibson Park was in just on the Australian 22, and the Australian forward pack drive forward, and the ball has gone loose and knocked forward off his feet, and referee says play on. That didn't come off the hand by Prendergast, but maybe he's changed his mind, and he has changed his mind, and we're going to get the first scrum of the evening, and I'm delighted to talk to Paul Marshall. Paul having a wee bit of problem with the communication. Is that better?
Yeah, I think it's good, Jim.
Good man.
So, yeah, great start from Ireland, isn't it? Super phase play. Taking Australia through the phases. Some beautiful miss passes. Mac Hansen, as Claire said in the show early, another receiver coming in there, getting his hands on the ball in that centre area. Lovely big pass from Stuart McCluskey to James Lowe as well. And the conditions are holding up, and hopefully both teams will be able to move the ball around.
Wallabies have made some 6 changes. Ireland making 9 changes, fielding a side with 10 Lions in the starting lineup and 3 more on the bench, with 13 Lions who toured Australia earlier on this summer against the Wallabies, who really need a win here. Very disappointed with their performance in Italy. The same Italian side went down to the All Blacks. It shows you the difference between the two Southern Hemisphere greats. Little ball was moved to the far side, hacked on by Ireland. There's a half chance here if Ireland can control this ball, but they can't quite control it. but it's kicked, and the referee has said play on, and it's kicked into touch, and it's going to be a line out in the far side of the field to the Wallabies. So Ireland, as we've seen so far, Ireland's defence is up very quickly, Paul.
Yeah, we've seen Ireland trying to generate a bit of line speed, haven't we? James Lowe coming in there. Pass doesn't go to hand, hack through from Henshaw, and it gives Ireland a great chance to put Australia under pressure here, Jim, with a 5 metre line out.
Wallaby line out far side of the field, east stand side, well taken in by the Wallabies, and they drive forward. Valentini goes to ground, leaves it behind him. Jake Gordon deciding just to delay a little bit. He's on his own, he can't get it back to O'Connor, so he has a kick himself, and he kicks right footed, and that's a very decent clearance kick. Is he a scrum half that you've admired, Paul, having played there yourself?
Yeah, I was really impressed with him last year. Jimmy played in this fixture, and he's a tall, rangy fella, but he kicks like Jamison Gibson Park. They're both relieve pressure really, really well from the base of the ruck, and that's a great exit from Jake Gordon.
He's 6'1", as Paul was saying. Ireland's line out on the Australian 10 metre line, other side of the field. Ireland left, Dan Sheehan, ball on hand, pops in the middle, back on the Irish side to the skipper. Here come Ireland again. This is better stuff from the men in green. Lowe comes into the line, but he's absolutely marmalised by Daugunu. But Ireland have won the ball back inside the Australian half. Gibson Park gets it away. Tag Furlong, the man mountain, back on the side once again. Gibson Park gets it away at the second attempt. Prendergast puts it high up into the Dublin 4 air. Plenty of green shirts chasing. Ball has gone loose. Who's going to claim that? The answer is Ireland have claimed it, and they go to ground. Now there's a chance if they move this wide. Gibson Park gets it away. People beside me saying go move it. Here comes James Lowe. He's got McCluskey outside, and McCluskey comes in field and does really well to straighten, and Ireland still have the ball. Gibson Park picks it up, whips it in field. Good work by the Irish tight forwards. In there is young McCarthy. Gibson Park again, thumping tackle goes in, and somebody needs to claim the ball for Ireland, and the referee says no. I think he's coming back for the first penalty of the evening, which is against Australia, I do believe, for offside. We shall get that confirmed in a wee second. No, taken quickly by Gibson Park, moves it wide. Here come Ireland. James Lowe held up. That really should have been a try. Good thinking by Gibson Park, not so good by Lowe. Gibson Park gets it again, puts it to James Ryan, driving forward into a host of the gold jerseys. Back on the Ireland side again, wonderfully well picked up. McCluskey gets it away, and underneath the post goes Mac Hansen for his 13th international try and his first from the full-back position, and a wonderful assist by Stuart McCluskey. Lovely soft hands by the big Ulsterman, but what a finish by Mac Hansen.
Yeah, I love this, Jim, whenever you see Gibson Park taking the quick tap, keeping Australia on their toes, and it's beautiful handling. The ball comes loose, Prendergast picks it up, but the sleight of hand from Stuart McCluskey is sensational. Mac is back, puts him through under the posts. 6 minutes in, Mac Hansen in the 15 shirt gets his try.
And Big Stu will just love that, won't he?
He will, Jim, and he's obviously known for his brute strength, but people don't appreciate, I think, at times how good his handling is. It's an unbelievable little offload from him. We saw a big wide pass from him earlier on, and we've seen that lovely little quick hands from him.
And the fact that he was able to stay in field, having taken the pass out to the left wing, he was able to come back in field and keep it going, says an awful lot for him at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just playing full of confidence, Jim, and I think that's what Ulster have played like so far this year. That Stu's got the ball in his hands, he's kept it alive, as has Jacob Stockdale and others, and he's bringing that through onto the international stage, and it's really, really great to see.
Sam Prendergast, just about needless to say, has added the extras, so we've played 7 minutes, and Ireland are leading by 7 points to 0. Australia restart, well taken in on the far side, just outside the Irish 22. Over on the left hand side, the east end, Tyg Byrne brought it in. Gibson Park pops it up, and Ireland move forward. Good work by Keelan Doris, wearing number 7 today. Josh van der Fleer on the injured side, and Australia have managed to turn that one over, which is a bit on the ominous side. Valentini gets it away. Ireland tackling for all their worth. Good work once again by Jack Conan, who's been busy. Gordon gets her away. James O'Connor, now 35, spills the ball forward, and we're going to have the first scrum of the evening, and that once again was down to some very good tackling by the Irish back row.
Yeah, it was great pressure, wasn't it, Jim? Great pressure, and then as James O'Connor gets the ball, Sam Prendergast flies up, gets into him, and someone who gets a little bit of grief at times for his defence, Sam Prendergast, forces the turnover. Tyg Burns in there helping. And it's really the older statesman for Australia, and James O'Connor in the 10 shirt against the young Sam Prendergast, and he's getting his opportunity tonight, Jim, and he'll really want to take it.
Well, O'Connor was capped not that long after he celebrated his 18th birthday. Way back against Fiji in 2008, I do believe. First scrum of the evening. It's about midway between the Irish 10-metre line and the Irish 22. The Havelock Square end of the park. We've played 8.5, almost 9 minutes, and there's a free kick given against the Australian front row, very engaging and taken very quickly by Prendergast. He's kicked that really long. It's bouncing rather awkwardly on the far side. Oh, that looked like a knock-on. Play on, says the referee. Not a knock-on by Max Jorgensen, the Australian fullback. Yes, it was a knock-on. Well, Jorgensen probably won't believe that he was so careless as to do that. But what a magnificent kick by Sam Prendergast, Paul.
Unbelievable, Jim, isn't it? And they said the spiral kick had nearly died out a few years ago, and beautiful low-ranging spiral from Sam Prendergast. Max Jorgensen knocks it on. Ireland now have a scrum 5 metres out. What a play.
So it's 9 minutes gone, 7-0 to Ireland. Early try by Mac Hansen, converted by Prendergast, who's put in the most sublimely exquisite kick into the Australian corner. Australia playing with their backs to the Lansdowne Road end. Ireland playing from left to right. Little huddle, and Prendergast giving everybody a bit of a talking to. His understudy for today, at least. Looking on. Chatting to a lot of very experienced old forwards, as if he'd been doing this all his life. James Ryan getting a little bit of treatment with a slightly bit of blood around his lip, but back they come again.
Those are the sort of things, Jim, that'll annoy Joe Schmidt. He likes teams being ready. There's been a quick tap. There's been that quick ranging kick from Prendergast. Joe Schmidt will be seething with that sort of play and his Australian team not being ready.
Well, interesting first scrum we're going to have with young Paddy McCartney, only 22 years of age, up against the vastly experienced Alan Alatoa, whose brother played for Leinster for a number of seasons. So here we go, 5 metres scrum to Ireland, 5 metres from the Australian line, 5 metres in from the far touchline, the east stand side. Jemison Gibson Park puts it in. Irish scrum stays solid. Australia try to get a squeeze on. That's not happening. Gibson Park runs to the open side, pops it up. Here come Ireland, just driving up to that line. Looks like McCluskey's got it. Good tackling there by Fraser McWright. The number 8, Gibson Park, delays the pass. A little wrap right once again. He's going to do it again, Hansen. Exactly the same spot as he nailed it about 4 minutes ago. And he gets in for his second try of this game to take him up to 14 touchdowns. And what a start by this Irish side, bristling with confidence after a pretty average performance against the Japanese a week ago. What a try.
They just look so alive, don't they, Jim? They look so in sync. Their timing's beautiful. Great carry from Stuart McCluskey off the scrum. Gibson Park with that long pass he has, zings it right across the Robbie Henshaw. Lovely hands to Prendergast. And it's almost like a carbon copy. Mac Hansen on the shoulder. 2 tries for Ireland, 2 tries for Mac Hansen.
And 2 conversions for big Sam Prendergast, the 6'4", 22-year-old outside half, winning his 12th cap today. Exquisite stuff, but magnificent. The first pass from Jemison Gibson Park was absolutely perfect. And the second one, the scoring pass, cut out about 3 Australian would-be defenders, and Hansen wasn't even anywhere near getting touched at all. 14-0 now with the conversion. We've played 11 minutes. Here goes McCluskey. Runs into the formidable Rob Valentini. Leaves it back for James Ryan, who himself leaves it for Jemison Gibson Park, who's decided to kick the ball himself and does kick it and finds a half-decent touch. The wind is starting to pick up a little bit, Paul, and there's a wee hint of rain in the air, which is not so good.
Yeah, that's what's really impressed me, Jim, with Ireland's handling so far, because the conditions aren't ideal. There is a bit of rain in the air. The pitch will be soft and soggy underneath. But Ireland's passing has been so crisp. We've seen Australia fumbling a couple of times in attack.
Australia win the line on the Irish 10-metre line. O'Connor moves it wide. Little pass back inside by Lenny Katau. The Wallabies win it again, move it to the far side there right. The skipper Wilson takes it on. Still just outside Ireland's 10-metre line. Ireland up very quickly. Here comes O'Connor. Ball's nicely taken by Australia. Oh, good covering tackle by Ireland and by Tommy O'Brien. Back to Gordon, brings it in field. Angus Bell, Ulster bound, moves it away. Spill forward by Australia. And the referee's going to bring them back to the middle of the field. and he's giving a penalty against Ireland for getting themselves, I think, offside.
Yeah, I think Sam Prendergast ended up just on the wrong side of the tackle. But again, Australia, a couple of phases and then they spill the ball, Jim. They just aren't quite as crisp as Ireland are at the minute. But they now do have that chance to try and kick deep into Ireland's 22 and get their first attacking play.
James O'Connor currently playing his club rugby with the Leicester Tigers, having been all over the place. Played in the World Cup in 2019. Known affectionately as Peter Pan. Hasn't changed a bit since he was a teenager playing his first cap. 13 minutes gone. Ireland 14. Australia 0. Ireland a point a minute or slightly better. Far side of the field. Matt Fessler with the throw, goes to the back, makes a mess of it, well taken in by Ireland's skipper. Keelan Doris gets up to the 22. Valentini tackles him. Laid back now, and here goes McCarthy. Runs into Tom Hooper and Fraser McWright. Referee says no advantage to Ireland from all of that. Australia got themselves offside, and Fraser McWright, the culprit, and he's given away the penalty, and it'll be Prendergast to kick to the far side. So Ireland pretty sharp in attack and pretty solid in defence.
Yeah, they've been very impressive, Jim. And one thing that's been really clear is Ireland struggled a bit with their line-out over the first couple of weeks of this series. Their line-out's been on form so far. That was Australia's first good attacking option. They overthrow. Keelan Doris is there to snap it up, and Ireland then subsequently get the penalty, and they're back in the Australia half with their own line-out.
Just about a couple of metres from the Australian 10-metre line. Over the other side of the field, the Ireland left, the east stand side. Little word to Dan Sheehan, full line out for Ireland, and it goes a bit messy, but I think it's come back on the Irish side just about no more, so not a line out loss. Gibson Park whips it back in field. Tadhg Byrne, the big man himself, goes to ground, squeezes it handily back between his legs. James Ryan is in there. Ryan Baird is in there too. Back to Jamison Gibson Park on halfway. Little dinky kick just coming down midway between the 22 and 10 metre line. Knocked back on the Irish side. Referee playing on, saying advantage to Australia. Good tackling by Ireland. Gordon brings it to the far side of the field. Nice little transfer. Little dummy there by Angus Bell. This is good stuff from Australia. A little chip and chase by Australia. All the way back goes Hansen. Gathers it in. Keeps it in. Just spins round on a sixpence and wallops it into touch. Doesn't make a huge amount of ground, but it's a very good kick, and he looks somewhat disconsolately at the touch judge on the far side, as if to say, come on, it went further than that, but it didn't.
Yeah, it was a nice bit of handling from the Australians. Lovely to see Angus Bell with the quick hands there. Bit of a dummy to James Lowe, gets through. Of course, he'll be Ulster bound, Jim, after this series, and what a signing he will be for Ulster. He's approaching 50 caps for the Wallabies.
Line out to Australia. Irish 22 other side of the field. Australian right, well taken it at the back. Australia bring it down. No challenge in the air from Ireland. Australia move forward. They've gone into the 22. Ryan Baird goes back. They've left it for Jake Gordon, who's struggling to get it away cleanly, but he does that now. Nice pass, and O'Connor takes it. That's gone wide. There's a half chance here by Australia. A lot of zip there. Jorgensen, the full back, tackled inside Ireland's 22. Into a bit of space in the middle of the park for Australia. Gordon comes to the near side once again. O'Connor, little hop and a skip. Lovely tackling once again. Well, almost lovely tackling by Tommy O'Brien. The ball is back on the Wallaby side. Gordon sells a dummy. Typical. Wilson gets the ball and dives to the ground. Sets it behind him. 10 metres inside the Irish 22, near side of the field. Here comes Bell again. My word, Big Angus has been busy. Let's hope he can do that when he comes to Ravenhill. Good tackle once again on Joseph Aku Sawali. Australia driving close to the line now. They're on that narrow side. They're only about 5 metres away from the Ireland line. All the pressure coming on this Irish defence. Gordon pops it up. Little transfer once again. Was that knocked forward? No, it wasn't. Back on the Australian side. Stuart Leahy helps us set it up yet again. In fact, it was Len Ikitau. Australia just standing back, waiting for the ball. Here it comes, Valentini. Ireland stop him right in his tracks, but the ball is back on the Australian side. Wallabies driving forward. Ireland defending ferociously, just to the near side of the Irish post. Picked up by McWright. And again, there's a gold jersey in there. There's an Irish jersey in there belonging to Tadhg Byrne, who's maybe got himself in the way. The Australian wing three-quarter, I think, has come into the middle of all of that. It's all slowed down now. The Wallabies try to pick the pace up again. Referee has the hand out for a penalty against Ireland, looking for the Australian try perhaps, as are the Wallabies themselves. Gordon moves it wide, good driving forward, and it's over, and it's a touchdown, and it's a try for Australia, and it's Ikitau, the centre, who's got over.
Yeah, just patient play, Jim, from Australia, using the short side, coming back a couple of times to the narrow side, getting gain line after gain line, Valentini in, carrying, Angus Bell getting his hands on the ball, and they just waited till they got their advantage, and then they struck. Lovely pass from Gordon to Ikitau, powers through Sam Prendergast.
Well, they didn't panic at all, did they?
No, Jim, just patient play, and they obviously had a first penalty advantage, which then does give you a little bit of extra license to try and have a real go. Second penalty comes, and then we can see Jake Gordon realises he's got a free ball, gives it to Ikitau. Ikitau goes straight through, and it's Australia's really their second chance, and they've got to try from it, so it's game on.
Well, the Irish defence just creaked a little bit. There was nobody really backing up Sam Prendergast there. The conversion by James O'Connor, which if my sums are right, takes him past 300 points in international rugby. Not really a specialist goal kicker, but he does a pretty decent job. So 18 minutes played still in the first quarter. We've had 3 tries, 2 to Ireland, both from fullback Mac Hansen, converted by Prendergast, 1 for Australia from Len Ikitau, converted by O'Connor, taken in by Valentini. Drives into Ryan Baird, Ireland's big blindside flanker, who can equally operate in the second row. Here come the Wallabies again, tails up. Because of that, Matt Fester goes to ground, still inside the 22. Back to Jake Gordon, who's lined up to kick down this near touchline, and he does just that, and that hasn't got a touch. Hansen gathers on his 10-metre line, back to Prendergast. Prendergast will put it up into the air, I'm pretty sure, for Hansen to chase. Up it goes, here comes Hansen. Hansen jumps, ball goes backward. Well, it's all over the place, and the referee blows the whistle and said the initial knock forward was by Australia, and it'll be Ireland to put in. Funny enough, Paul, I met a man who played in your position for Ireland some years ago, is now a consultant orthopaedic surgeon, one Paul Hogan.
Yeah.
One of the nicest guys you can meet.
Yeah, I was at a dinner with him last year. He's lovely. I'd never actually got chatting to him before, but as you say, one of the nicest guys you could come across, and was a good scrum half back in the day as well.
And the most recent thing he did, well, not that long ago, was he fixed Willie, gave Willie Anderson a replacement knee. I'm sure Willie was grateful to him.
Oh, absolutely.
So here we are, into the second quarter of this game. Ireland 14, Australia 7. Ireland have the scrum on the 22 of the Wallabies, and about 17 metres in from the near touchline, the Irish right. Ireland playing towards the Lansdowne road end. Good solid looking scrum, good work by young McCarthy under a wee bit of pressure from Alatoa. Gibson Park to the open side of the field. A little bit on the slow side, taken on by McCluskey. Leaves it behind him nicely. And here come Ireland again. Tag Byrne into contact. Ball coming back on the Irish side. Gibson Park to the open side of the field. Good work once again by Sheehan. Helps set it up. Gibson Park yet again out to his right. Little flat pass to Ryan Baird. Ireland recycling the ball well. It's a wee bit on the slow side. Keelan Doris, the skipper, tries to inject a bit of zip to it. Gibson Park appealing for a penalty. Referee Carl Dixon having none of it. Now they bring it to the near side again. Here goes Sheehan. Almost got away from his would-be defender. Gibson Park brings it back in field yet again. This is good stuff by Ireland. Tommy O'Brien, I think it was, helped to set that up. Now they move it wide. Prendergast yet again. Tag Furlong. Makes a little bit of ground. Ireland inside the 22, directly in front of the Wallabies post. Under normal circumstances, maybe a drop goal, a little missed pass there, but it was well gathered in by Ireland and by Robbie Henshaw, but it was knocked forward, so the Australians will get the scrum, Paul.
Yeah, it was good play from Australia, Jim. They were really competing at each of the breakdowns there. They weren't letting Ireland generate quick ball. We know how dangerous this Ireland team can be when they get the front foot and they get the quick ball. They looked a little bit lost for ideas there when they couldn't get the gain line, and Australia were just prodding at every ruck, getting a hand in, slowing it down, and it's resulted in a bit of mishandling from Ireland, and it's an Australian defensive scrum now.
Great to see a full house here, isn't it?
Absolutely. And again, Jim, just even the pyrotechnics, the fireworks before the game, Barry Murphy, former Irish international, doing the anthem, doing Fields of Athenry. It's trying to generate that buzz and that atmosphere, and 2 Mac Hansen tries in the opening quarter has really increased that atmosphere in the place.
And being very ancient and liking the traditional, it's not a circus act.
No, totally, Jim. And I think at the end of the day that the pitch will be what generates the excitement for the fans here. But it's just, I suppose it's turned into the commercialisation of the game now. It is the experienced people coming. It's all the little bits of add-on that are maybe crucial for it on a commercial scale. But absolutely, it's Ireland will be judged on what they do on the pitch.
Absolutely right. You took the very words out of my mouth. Well done. So, referees brought them back for a penalty against Ireland. It's inside the Australian 22 by 4 or 5 metres, directly in front of the post. Ball handed to Filippo Daugunu, the right wing 3/4, capped 21 times as of today, and he finds a pretty decent touch. The wind is picking up. Trying to look at the touch judge's flag on the far side to see what it's like. It's not really moving that much, so maybe it's just in our lofty perch we're getting a little bit on the windy side, but there is a little skiff of rain coming in, and I hope the old notes don't get too sodden. Scrum to, or line out I should say, to the Wallabies inside their own 10-metre line on the side of the field. Ireland managed to touch the ball backward. Malatini takes it and makes a little bit of inroads into the Irish defence. Jack Conan with the initial tackle and managed to hang on to him. Back to Gordon, who's shaving up to boot it down the far touchline. Delicate little kick underneath is James Lowe, and James Lowe knocks it forward, and then an Australian knocks it forward, and the referee's saying playing advantage, and he's saying, well, that's okay, play on. If this is kicked, the advantage will be over. Good movement. Now here comes the Australia. Here comes Jorgensen out to the near wing. There he goes Iketal. This is great Australian rugby at its very best. Back goes Hansen. Hansen has managed to keep the ball in field. How he did that, I have no idea. And Ireland got enough men back, but the referee is saying there was no advantage from all of that. Well, there was a secondary knock on actually by the Australians. So Ireland perhaps a little bit lucky to get out of jail there, Paul. They've got the scrum on their own 22 rather than conceding a scrum away back on the halfway line.
Yeah, it was a lovely attack, wasn't it, off the counter. James Lowe dropped it wasn't even really a high ball, Jim. It was one that he really should have taken. He wasn't under a lot of pressure. And Australia on that counter attack, they've got so much pace in their back three. Jorgensen at fullback usually plays in the wing. He's so quick, but lovely hands from him. And we can see Daganu got away from Sam Prendergast, and just the hustling of Tommy O'Brien on the way back has led to an Australian knock-on. But it's positive signs, Jim, in the last few minutes for Australia.
Yeah, one missed tackle could cost you big time.
Totally. This Australia team, if they get beyond you, they've so much pace that they definitely can put it away. But it's going to be tricky, Jim. We can see the rain starting to come down a lot heavier now, and the wind potentially is swirling a little bit. Maybe that's what's happened to James Lowe in that kick. The conditions have deteriorated a wee bit, and that's why it's key to make sure you're playing in the right areas, and that's what Australia did with Jake Gordon with that little kick.
Running repairs to Len Iketal, the Wallabies try scorer, seemed to be effective. So back to play we go. It is a scrum. It is an Irish scrum. It's just outside the 22, the near side of the field, the Irish right. Havelock square end. Jameson Gibson Parker looks outside him. He's got Prendergast out there, and McCluskey and Henshaw and Hansen, and way out on the far left wing is the man who dropped the ball not that long ago, but we're forgiven for that, James Lowe. Referee blows the whistle again. There's a wee bit of nonsense going on in the scrum. First start in international jersey for young Paddy McCarthy, younger brother of Big Joe, who I think is coming on quite nicely and may well be available for the Six Nations. We would like to hope so, because he's a huge plus, isn't he?
Oh, he is, Jim. He's a big boy, isn't he? And he's got some great skills as well. And what a day that'll be, I'm sure, for the McCarthy family when the two of them do get to grace the pitch together at this level.
Wouldn't be down about his hairstyle, mind you, but then that's none of my business. Here comes the Jameson Gibson Park. He doesn't have to worry about his hairstyle, and he's going to pop the ball into the scrum, and that's a good solid looking Irish scrum picked up at the back by Ireland. Jack Conan got it away, and Australia go in there. Have they stolen it? They're nearly trying to turn it over, and Ireland somehow have managed to keep possession of that ball. I thought they'd lost it in the contact there. Gibson Park has to go in with both hands and dig it out himself. McCarthy stands back ready to take a short pass to try to set up for a little bit more ground if they can. Referee's been very patient. He's telling Ireland to get on with it, and they do get on, and Gibson Park kicks it, and he's wheeked it in field just a little bit. Jump knock back on the Irish side, well taken in by Ireland. and by Tyg Furlong. McCarthy's in there just to help. Gibson Park kicks right-footed down this near touchline. 1 bounce, 2 bounce, 3 bounce, 4 bounce into touch. And that's a clever kick, Paul.
It's a beautiful kick, Jim. And it's great awareness as well, because he puts up the high ball. Ireland get it back, and he realises then that the blindside winger is going to be up and there's going to be space in behind. It's a great kick. It's ended up being a 50-22 as well.
He has a great passing game and great kicking game too.
Yeah, it's just game awareness, Jim. His ability to know when to go down the short side, when to speed the ball up, when to slow it down and kick. He really has it all.
Inside the 22, Ireland win the line out. Around comes Sheehan up to Gibson Park. Puts it flat to McCluskey. McCluskey keeps going strongly and gets across the 22 and well into the Australian defensive territory. Now here come Ireland again. Keelan Doris, the skipper, pushed sideways just past the left-hand side of the post. Gibson Park brings it in field. Big James Ryan, McCarthy in support. Good work by the young prop. Gibson Park to the far side. Nicely done by Ireland. Little delicate kick through. Here comes the low. Can't quite gather it. Well covered by Australia, and Ireland get them over the touchline, and that's going to be a 5-metre scrum. That was good defence by Australia, but even better attack defence by Ireland.
Yeah, very rarely do we see Tommy O'Brien in that first receiver, but it's a beautiful little grubber kick from Tommy O'Brien. Great awareness. Again, Max Jorgensen goes back and gets down on the ball, but because of the conditions, Jim, if you go down to the ground, you're going to slide. We can see that he slides a few metres, and then James Lowe with the strength to lift him up and basically bring him back over his line, and it's an Ireland scrum.
I'm sorry to report that Stuart McCluskey's in a wee bit of trouble, I think, and this doesn't look good at all. And Stuart McCluskey, for the second time in this series, is going to leave the field. You wonder what is wrong with the big fella, honestly.
Yeah, it's very disappointing to see, Jim. He was unbelievable against the All Blacks. He's had a couple of really big plays tonight, great carries, great hands, and perhaps his niggle from a couple of weeks ago has just started to flare up again.
Well, a pretty decent man to have as his replacement. Coming on for cap number 67 is Bundy Aki, the New Zealander who's been very much part of the Connacht side, very much part of the Irish side, an adopted Irishman. One of my very amusing friends referred to him as Bundy McKee, but he's Bundy Aki, and he's going to move into the inside centre position, and this is not a bad man to have from short range because he is so powerful. 5-metre scrum to Ireland, just the far side of the field. That's a good squeeze by Ireland. The scrum wheels around. Gibson Park comes to the open side of the field. Little flat pass. Aki gets it away. Little chip. Don't know why the chip was given, but well taken by Tommy O'Brien. Leaves it behind for Hansen, who's going to get a hat trick. Oh my good Lord. What a day Mac Hansen is having. He's never started an international at fullback until today, and he's probably wondering why I hadn't done it years ago. What a well taken try, and all comes from a very solid scrum.
Yeah, great scrum, Jim. Good hands from Bundy Aki. I think we all sort of thought, we wondered what Sam Prendergast was doing with that little crossfield kick, but Tommy O'Brien got his hands on the ball, keeps the ball on the Irish side, and Mac just picks it up and sees a little gap and just goes for it.
Prendergast thought about the kick, or the pass, then put the kick in, well gathered in and well left behind by Tommy O'Brien, and Hansen right on the spot, alert as anything, and scooped it up and dotted it down, not quite in front of the post like the first two, but a decent kick. Prendergast, and he hasn't quite nailed the conversion. So 3 tries for Ireland, and we've still got about 10 minutes or 11 minutes of the first half to play.
Yeah, and of course you think of the likes of Mac Hansen growing up in Australia. I'm sure if there was one team he could play for Ireland against and do well in and score a hat-trick, it is of course going to be against Australia. A bit of added motivation, and what a start he's had to this game.
The man from Canberra in the Australia Capital Territory was stored against the country of his birth. Restart gathered in by Bundy Aki. Goes to ground just inside his own 22 and about 15 metres from the far touchline, the Irish left. Australia playing from right to left here at Lansdowne Road toward the Havelock Square, and as he has been doing all game so far, with about 10 minutes remaining, a good touch find by Ireland scrum half Jemison Gibson Park, and he's been a huge plus for this Irish team over the last few years since we had the great Conor Murray there.
Yeah, he's been unbelievable, Jim, and just as I said just earlier, like his ability to know which way to go, but to keep tempo in the game. He's a different player to Connor, and they've both been so effective.
Australia win the line out on the Irish 10-metre line. O'Connor puts it flat. And they come into the middle of the park. Gordon moves it to the right-hand side. Nicely done by O'Connor. Lovely transfer by Australia. But unfortunately, the final pass goes straight into touch. A little bit of nonsense between the wonderfully named Harry Potter and one of Ireland's defenders. And Ireland will get the throw into the line-out. 10 minutes remaining. It hasn't been a bad half so far for Ireland, Paul.
It hasn't. They say Harry Potter's a flyer, Jim, out in that wing. So he hasn't had too much time to get his skates on so far, but it's been an exciting game, intriguing game. Ireland have taken their opportunities. Australia have had a couple, taken one. And you just feel from an Australian point of view, Jim, if they can get something before half-time, it will give them a big boost.
Ireland's line out just inside their own 10-metre line, other side of the field. Referees asking the Australians to observe the 1-metre gap at the line out. Ireland take 2 or 3 players out, and he'll ask them to bring them in again. Ireland just come meandering back into the line out. Dan Sheehan throws, well taken to the front to Baird. Gibson Park gets away. Prendergast hoisted high up into the D4 sky. Well taken by Australia. Good covering by Ireland. In quickly. Ireland looking for a turnover ball, and they may well have got it. No, they haven't. Valentini gets it away. Not all that terribly far. Iketau is caught inside the 22, and Ireland have conceded the penalty at the breakdown, according to referee Carl Dixon. Not quite sure how many penalties Ireland have conceded. Ball was well taken by Max Jorgensen, jumped up high in the air, and I think he was just tackled as he was about 6 inches from the ground by Robbie Henshaw. Good kick by Australia into touch on the near side of the field. A little bit of wind blowing ever so slightly into the Australian faces, but not really worthwhile. The rain has decided to go away, at least for the time being.
Yeah, just looking down at the assistant referee's flag there, Jim, it does look like Australia are playing into a bit of a wind. I do feel like it's swirling out there with seeing the flight of the ball in the air, but it certainly looks like it probably is favouring Ireland at this half. Line
out inside Ireland's 10-metre line, well won by Australia. McWright does scrum half, moves it away. Gordon kicks right footed. That's a clever kick by Gordon. Tap back on the Australian side. Ireland just couldn't quite scoop the ball up. Prendergast comes through. Henshaw is evaded. Iketau goes to ground, tackled by Sheehan. Gordon to the open side, the Australian right. Here comes O'Connor, half little gap by O'Connor. He couldn't quite get the ball away, and Australia moving forward. This is good stuff by the Wallabies. Ireland getting stuck in there. Ryan Baird is in the middle of all that, back on the Australian side, taken on by second row forward Tom Hooper, who sets it up nicely back to Valentini. He's well tackled. Good work once again by Ireland's tight forwards and by Ryan Baird. Alatoa goes to ground inside Ireland's 10-metre line. Australia move the ball to the left and then the right. Jorgensen is in the middle of all of that, so they've got nobody at home, Australia, but they've still got the ball. And O'Connor kicks, and the ball is coming down inside Ireland's 22. And Mac Hansen, thus far the hero of the hour, calls for the fair catch, and that was nicely done. 7 minutes to the interval, 7 to Australia, but the Irish side, the home side, have got 19, so 19-7 to Ireland.
It was a really good defensive set there, Jim, from Ireland. They just kept knocking Australia back, kept knocking them back, and then James O'Connor had no other option but to put the ball in the air. Kicked it too far. Mac Hansen takes a good ball in the air, and it just gives Ireland a chance to relieve pressure, but it's also that psychological message it gives as well. Australia, you can't break us down. We're going to keep coming, we're going to keep defending you, and we're going to leave you no other option but to kick.
Australian line out midway between the Ireland 22 and the 10-metre line. Far side of the field from us, the old East Stand side. The new East Stand now, new every stand now. Australian line out, well taken. Down they've come. Ireland didn't contest, but Australia have driven forward. They've made 2, 3, 4 metres. Ireland trying to spin them round toward the touchline. The ball has gone to ground, so Australia will have to ease it back for Jake Gordon to play with. The referee's got the hand out. There's an Irish hand, I think, interfering in there, so advantage to Australia. Now they're trying to move the ball. This is a nice bit of a wrap round, but unfortunately O'Connor knocks it forward, but it doesn't matter because they go back for the penalty against Ireland. Australia for the corner, Paul?
Yeah, I think so. I think they'll go, especially with the swirly wind. I think a penalty 5 metres from the touchline, just outside the 22. I could see them going for the corner, and just even again Ireland's line speed there. It was a free ball for Australia to try and attack. James O'Connor's almost running backwards to try and get a bit of time on the ball. It's really, really good pressure from Ireland, and with the conditions being a little bit greasy and windy, it takes you that extra second to steady yourself when you're catching the ball, and it's been very impressive from Ireland.
Australia have really dominated though the last 10 minutes. I mean, Ireland haven't been anywhere near the Australian line since they scored the third try after 27 minutes. So had about 7 or 8 minutes of Australia pressure. Matt Fesler, the Australian hooker, drives the ball midway between the Irish goal line and knocked back on the Irish side. We get it back to James Lowe, and Lowe wallops it left footed. That's a huge clearance kick from a very tight angle. I think he was quite surprised to get that, because I think he was assuming that his pal and fellow New Zealander Jamison Gibson Park would kick it into touch himself, but Lowe's got it away. Australia have the ball again. We're into the final 5 minutes of what's been a terrific first half of rugby, particularly if you've got a green pair of eye shades on. Line out to the Wallabies, 5 metres from the Irish 22. And again, Ireland's work at the front of the line out has been absolutely exemplary. Rob Ballatini trying to get it back. James Ryan taking an Australian hand away from round his neck. Gibson Park just takes his time, has a little glance behind him. He's inside his 22. He's kicked right-footed. Now, where's that going to go? Well chased by James Lowe, who I think might have knocked it forward, but the referee has his hand out for a scrum to Ireland. Is he playing advantage? I think he is playing advantage. The ball is coming back on the Irish side, but he's deciding it's not coming back quickly enough, so there wasn't any genuine advantage. But Ireland nonetheless get to put into the scrum, and this Gibson Park man has been kicking like a dream.
Yeah, it was a lovely kick, Jim, wasn't it? It looks like Jorgensen's tried to catch it. He's knocked it on into James Lowe, so it's looked like a double knock on. I do think that Jorgensen knocked it on first. It's just a great contestable kick, because even if Jorgensen does catch that cleanly, James Lowe is ready to rock into him.
Well, the referee wants to have a look at something. I don't know whether there's any foul play involved, or maybe it's just a technical decision.
Chaser, please.
Maybe the Irish chaser was a bit naughty. Now I'm not quite sure who that was. Was that James Lowe, I think, did the chasing, and did he clatter illegally into an Australian player? What do you think, Paul?
Yeah, we'll just have a look. Oh, it's a bit of a shoulder to the nose, but it looks pretty minimal, Jim. And I think the Australian player's low as well.
I don't need to see anything.
And he was slowing down.
I have a decision.
Okay, wait there, Cole.
Back to you. The player does stutter before he gets there. He slows down. There's minimal head contact. It's just a penalty.
No complaint to be upheld. James Lowe, to the side of his mouth, says thank the Lord for that. But he has given a penalty. Well, that's interesting. And Jorgensen, who's been bleeding from the nose almost from the start, gets another lump of loo roll shoved up his hooter. And into touch it goes, or is about to go, from James O'Connor on the far side inside the Irish half. And O'Connor, lovely banana kick off the outside of the foot. That's another art you don't see too often, Paul.
Yeah, it's a lovely kick, isn't it? Especially when you're that close to the touchline, to the right hand touchline as a right hand kicker, that banana kick, it means that you can try and kick down a straight plane, knowing that as you're kicking the ball held at an angle, it's going to deviate towards the touchline. It's a great option, and it's a great kick from James O'Connor.
Ran out to the Wallabies, just inside the Irish 22, far side of the field, the Australian right. Matt Fesler throws. This time Australia get it, and this time the blue, or the gold shirts come round. Good tackling by Tadhg Byrne in the middle of all that. Nicely presented by McWright. Ball has gone loose. Gathered in by Ireland skipper Keelan Doris. Referee has got the hand out for an Irish scrum for the knock on, but Gibson Park will get it away, puts it into a wee bit of space. Now where's that going? It's well taken in by Australia. Good chasing by Gibson Park. Back on the Wallabies side. Good chance this for the Wallabies to close the gap before the interval, which would cause a butterfly or two in the Irish tummies. Here they come again. O'Connor gets it away, hacked on and hacked into touch rather clumsily by Filippo Dagunu, the 30-year-old from the Queensland Reds. And the referee's going to bring them back for another penalty for Ireland, I think. Maybe offside, Paul.
Yeah, I think it was Tadhg Byrne, Jim. I think Ireland are trying to get so much line speed. He thought the ball had come out. I do feel like he probably had come forward. He didn't affect the play. He then retreated. It's probably a bit of a soft penalty, but it's just Ireland's intent. They're trying to get line speed here.
It was a very soft penalty, and again O'Connor just leans back and strikes it just perfectly and finds a very decent touch about 8, possibly 9 metres from the Irish line. Less than 2 minutes to go. Ireland leading by 19 points to 7. A remarkable hat trick for Mac Hansen. Clyde trying to get behind Ireland. Now their line-out, particularly their attacking line-out, has been very good. Are they going to challenge once again or leave it to Australia to catch? Fessler throws. Up go Ireland. Well taken in though by Australia. Fessler comes round. The Wallabies now moving up to within 5 metres of the Irish line. Gordon behind them. Fessler has the ball. Is he going to slingshot himself off down that narrow side? And Gordon looks outside and the ball is going to Gordon. Now the Wallabies are going to move it. Sawalihi to Ikitau. Ikitau's well tackled by Bundy Aki and by Robbie Henshaw. Ireland's two centres in tandem. Australia bring it to the near side of the field. Head down, drive forward by Australia. Wilson, the skipper, cleans out an Irishman, and they're still moving forward. This is good work by the Wallabies. McWright's in there as well. Ala Tor takes it forward. Needs a little bit of help. Gets it from Sawali up to Wilson. Good tackling by Ireland and by skipper Keelan Doris back on the Australian side. Now there's a wee bit of a gap there. Wallabies looking for what could be a decisive and very important try in this match just before the interval. We have 30 seconds to go. Wilson gets it away, sells it dummy. The skipper very nearly gets through. Good tackle by Sheehan. Here come the Wallabies again. They're only about half a metre away, an arm's length from the Irish line underneath the Irish post, and again they go forward, and the referee couldn't be better positioned. Now it's back on the Australian side and they dive for the line, and the referee says that is a try, and the Wallabies have got the try, and as Fraser McBride gets his 12th international try, and he'd never score a more important one. What a comeback by Australia.
Yeah, richly deserved, Jim. Ireland have been lacking discipline. They've given away too many penalties, soft penalties, Jim, for offside. And I know they're intense there to get off the line, but they're still soft penalties. You can see the ruck, and they've just put themselves under pressure, and Australia eventually get a little bit of ball from their line out, get a bit of go forward, and Fraser McWright's in there. But interesting as well, Jim, Harry Wilson, the number 8, is a big man. We've already talked about him. He's hardly had the ball in his hands. He got a couple of carries in there, little bit of a gain line, and then all of a sudden Australia score.
And not all of a sudden, but as expected, Alan O'Connor, James O'Connor as the extras. And what an interesting first half. Ireland was almost running away with it, scoring 3 tries to 1, but back came the Wallabies. It's now 3 tries to 2 tries. There's a converted try between them. It's 19-7. What a second half we're going to have, Paul.
Yeah, it's going to be exciting, Jim, and especially with that wind playing a bit of trouble as well. I think it's going to be in Australia's favour. It'll be in their back slightly in the second half, and Ireland are going to have to manage the game well.
Okay, Paul, thank you very much indeed. 3 tries for Ireland's fullback Mac Hansen, 2 for Australia. At the interval, it's Ireland 19 and the Wallabies 12.
Okay, well, Gareth Steenson and Claire Smaller here in studio, ready to discuss that first half action, but now with the time approaching 3 minutes to 9, let's pause and get the latest BBC News.
BBC News NI on Radio Ulster and on BBC Sounds.
With the news, I'm Jessica Lawrence. Good evening. A multi-agency search is continuing off Ireland's northwest coast this evening for a missing member of the Royal Navy. The Irish Coast Guard said it received a distress call from a UK naval support vessel this morning. Malin Head Coast Guard are coordinating a search and rescue operation between Tory Island in County Donegal and Eagle Island in County Mayo. The Ministry of Defence said the Royal Navy is helping to find an individual from the Royal Fleet Auxiliary. The search is expected to continue overnight. Donald Trump has said he will speak to Sue Keir Starmer this weekend about his plans to sue the BBC for the way it edited footage of one of his speeches. The corporation has apologised after the Panorama programme spliced together 2 separate segments of a speech given by the president shortly before his supporters stormed the Capitol in 2021. However, it is refusing to pay him compensation. The American legal expert Bert Newborn says defeating Mr. Trump in court might just be the only way for the BBC to resolve the dispute.
If you give him one thing, then he comes for more. The only way to stop him is the way you stop a shark, and that's to hit him in the snout with a blunt instrument. Otherwise, he keeps coming at you. So it's unclear whether an apology from BBC will be enough. But I do think it was a wise tactic for them to take at this point.
A leading refugee charity has said that government plans to limit asylum seekers to temporary stays in the UK are harsh and unnecessary. The Refugee Council says the proposals, described as part of the most sweeping changes to the asylum system in a generation, won't deter people from crossing the Channel. Under the changes, refugees will be sent back home as soon as it is deemed safe to do so. And Pope Leo has hosted Hollywood stars at the Vatican. In a speech, he described the actors and directors as pilgrims of the imagination, hoping to bring hope. Among those attending the event were Cate Blanchett, Monica Bellucci, and the filmmaker Spike Lee, who gifted the Pope with a basketball jersey.
He's the 14th Pope, so it's number 14, and the back is said Pope Leo. The reason why there's connection, because Pope went to Villanova, which is a university in Pennsylvania. And the Knicks had 3 players that went to Villanova. He laughed. He smiled.
Now with the weather, here's Cecilia Daly.
The last of the damp weather will ease tonight and clearer skies will develop from the north. Winds will also ease. A chillier night with lows of 2 or 3 degrees in sheltered spots. Sunday will be drier and brighter with some sunshine. Areas of cloud are likely too, with a small chance of a shower in the northwest. A chilly day with highs of 7 to 9 degrees and light northerly breezes.
BBC News.
This is Sportsound Rugby.
Listen live, on digital, online or on BBC Sounds.
Half-time in Dublin. Ireland are leading Australia 19 points to 14. Gareth and Claire are with me here. And guys, what do we make of that? I think that try for Australia just before half-time has made things very interesting indeed, Gareth.
I think it has, and to be honest with you, they probably deserve it a little bit as well. They have, their territory-wise, they're just a little bit ahead on that. They've defended reasonably well at times as well, but they've put themselves in positions to score against Ireland at the minute, and the opportunities they've taken is really, the good try for Mkhitaryan, obviously, whenever they get under the post there, but that one at the end, it's a wet weather night, it's a difficult evening for rugby. I think the way both teams are trying to play and the conditions is great, and obviously on comms you're hearing that Australia are playing into the wind there as well, so really, really impressive from both sides, really, considering the conditions are. But yeah, I think for the game it makes it a little bit more interesting. Australia scored there, but listen, it's a good solid test match at the moment.
And as a former 10, what have you made of Sam Prendergast?
He's had a bit of a mixed bag, if I'm being honest. Australia have looked to target him in that area. It's been some part of his game that has been under question for a little while. That defensive area, there's a couple of missed tackles in there on touchlines and stuff. But again, for the second try, that really quick thinking that he was able to take a quick tap, spiral punt, doesn't happen too often nowadays. Puts people into the right areas of the pitch for Ireland, and then nice soft hands to put Mac Hansen away. Good crossfield kick as well. So listen, he's had it's been an interesting half for him, but again, it's probably good for his development where he is as well.
Claire, Australia will be wondering, why did we let Mac Hansen slip through our fingers? Australian born, he's come up with a hat-trick of tries there for Ireland in that first half.
Yeah, I know we'd kind of spoken about Mac before the game started, and we'd hoped that he would hit the ground running.
Eye-catching, wearing one white boot and one black boot.
Yes, yeah. Absolutely. But yeah, obviously he's come out there, he's been in the right place at the right time. He's not had to do a huge amount of work to score those 3 tries. But it's been really good, quick hands and quick ball that we've seen Ireland play with in games gone by, and that's how they like to play the game. They like to get those offloads, and even in the conditions that we're seeing tonight, with the rain coming down, they're still getting those crisp passes away, those offloads away, and it's just allowing guys to run into space and score those tries that we've seen Hansen.
Is he revelling in the more maybe a freer role at fullback?
Yeah, I suppose at fullback he's going to have a bit more space and a bit more time, and can choose when to hit those lines. So yeah, I think he probably is reveling in that, and he's just taking opportunities whenever they're there. I think we've seen that Ireland's attack in general is looking a bit better tonight. Their set piece is looking better as well. They haven't lost a line out in that first half, which is great to see, because we know how good a platform it is. And yeah, generally they're working well whenever they have the ball. I think it's whenever they then make mistakes, whenever they give penalties away, they allow Australia into the game, and it's allowing them to get territory and to get up into their half and score points. So that's something that Ireland will want to stamp out. They had 6 penalties in that half. They'll want to try and reduce that, or keep their penalty count as low as possible coming into the second half.
Will they be frustrated, Gareth, having looked like they were really on it from the start and built up that sort of lead, and the set piece, the things that they said they were going to work on, they've obviously worked on, and those things have worked out for them. But then other mistakes have been made, little lapses in concentration. Do you think they'll be disappointed that they've allowed Australia back in it, or would you give Australia the credit?
I think you've got to give Australia a bit of credit as well. And in this sort of scenario, both teams are, like, it's obviously a difficult night. Mistakes are going to happen. It's about, understanding that's going to happen and not get too flustered by it. I think, like I said, Ireland the scores they've got have been very clever. What they've done with them, they've got into the right areas of the pitch. Has been very clinical when they've got into the 22, and probably based again, Australia are a little bit ahead in the territory game. But I think Ireland have mixed up their kicking game really well. There's been, James Gibson Park, he's putting little kicks over the top around the 22. They're finding land. They're kicking off lineouts early. Their kick chase has been good. They've been putting pressure on. But again, little kicks in behind, all those sort of things, find the land has been really important. But once again, we've seen them dropping balls in the backfield as well. So it's obviously a difficult evening. It's like anything. It's about being clear in what they want to do. They'll obviously be disappointed with how the game finished there at the half time there. But
it's good for everyone else. So
it's good for everyone.
Keeps the pot boiling for the second half.
It does. But again, they'll be frustrated. But again, it's like anything. They'll be in the change room there. They're putting a plan together what they need to do for the second half.
Yeah. What about Stuart McCluskey? Was involved at that opening try for Mag Hansen. Lovely hands by Stu, but disappointing then having to go. He looked absolutely gutted when he had to go off after 27 minutes. What do you think the problem was there, Claire?
Yeah, he looked so disappointed. You'd imagine it's probably a flare up of that groin injury that he had, that kept him out of the Japanese game last week. But yeah, really disappointing for him, because he's someone who's shown that he can make a mark in that 12 jersey, and he's not got that many caps under his belt, and now really was his opportunity. You just hope it's not too bad, and that he would potentially be back in contention for a place for next week against South Africa. But look, you've got Bundyaki coming on.
His face told a different story, I think. Possibly you could say that they took him off as a precaution that early because they were thinking about next week, but I think his face told that he thought maybe his autumn series is over. And if so, that's a real blow for him, isn't it?
Potentially. Like, it didn't look obvious that something significant had happened. So it may be that the physios had been watching him and decided, look, we'll take you off before something does go. But yeah, they have Bundyaki to call on to come in with all his experience, with his ball carrying ability, and his defensive ability as well. So he's someone who has been round the block with Ireland, and he's played with Henshaw for years. So he's someone that they can really rely on.
Sure. What about the second half, Gareth? I mean, where do you see this one going? How soon do you think Andy Farrell will make changes?
I think, he'll maybe look for about 5-10 minutes, in that area. They'll, like I said, they'll be putting a plan together now about how they'll do it. They'll have obviously talked about the weather conditions first half. They'll have just been focusing on, clearly. They had a little bit of a breeze at their back there. So, again, it doesn't look like it's too strong that you can't kick into. So I'd assume, the wet weather seems to be coming in. It's going to become a little bit more of a tight test match. I'd like to think they'll look to play in those right areas of the pitch in the territory game, try and get that bit right, because Australia had won that in the first half. And it's like, again, it's a good test match. They can still keep going scoring tries. They've scored 3 tries in that first half by good players. There's no reason why that's not going to be the same case come the second half. So there's a lot of positives they will take. They'll just be a little frustrated that they gave away that try, I suppose, just before half time.
Jack Crowley, of course, a good man to come on in these conditions and in this type of situation. He'll be able to manage a game pretty well.
Yeah, no, they've got guys to come off the bench there that's going to add, right across the board. You'd imagine Andrew Porter, these guys are going to come on and put a bit of impetus up front. That's an area where they could really target Australia. And like Jack coming on, he's obviously in good form. He's been playing really well with Munster. Craig Casey's another option there as well. He can add tempo if they need to put tempo in the game. But they've got guys right across the board who can really use that bench to really come on. And, Ronan Keller as well to come on. So there's a couple of lions there in the wings. So listen, I'd imagine they're putting a plan together right now that's going to work, and we'll see again with the fatigue when these types of games, maybe there wouldn't be a lot of fatigue element because it isn't a massively fast game because of the conditions, but again I'm sure they're putting a plan together.
And Nick Timoney, Claire, another man who'll come on and definitely inject legs into this team.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think Nick Timoney definitely showed last week what he can do, and he's shown for Ulster for a long time what he's capable of. We saw obviously a lovely try from him last week. He had the pace to finish off from a decent distance out. And even Cian Prendergast as well. I thought he was one of the standout players that came off the bench last week against Japan. So those guys are obviously being given a chance. And with Josh van der Vliet involved this week, it's a huge opportunity for these guys to put their hand up and to show what they're made of. And obviously in this sort of game, the breakdown is massive. Like the Australian pack are really putting Ireland under pressure, and whenever they slow Ireland's ball down, they don't look as accurate, or they look a bit disjointed whenever they're getting slow ball. So the breakdown is massively important. So these guys who are coming on, bringing energy, hitting the rocks and making impact at them, that's going to be huge into the second half.
It's finely balanced, delicately poised. Are you both still feeling that Ireland maybe will edge this, or what's the thoughts now?
No, I still think Ireland are in the driving seat here again. I think they'll have to learn a few lessons in there as well in that first half. They'll probably, like the scores they've scored they've been very clinical when they've got into the 22. They have, put in some nice little plays, nice little hands, short lines, and they've identified opportunities in that Australian defence. So they'll shore a couple of wee things up and hopefully it'll be all right.
OK, well, Australia were out a few moments ago, but the Ireland team have just run out at the Aviva Stadium. So let's rejoin our commentary team, Paul Marshall and Jim Neely.
No changes on the goal team. Australia with the 15 that finished the first half. Ireland also with the 15 that finished the first half. The only change being that midway through that first half we lost the Ulster centre Stuart McCluskey to be replaced by the double lion Bundy Aki. And at the moment it is very finely poised. It looked pretty good for Ireland at 19-7. The Black Henry Australians with a couple of tries, and it's now one try, and it's now 19-14. So a converted try would take Australia to the lead. And they're playing from left to right as we look at it towards the Lansdowne Road end. James O'Connor gets us underway. It's coming down just outside the Ireland 22. Big high jump and gathered in firmly and safely by Ireland's second row comeback row forward Tyg Byrne. And it's set up for Jamison Gibson Park. And he pops it up to the very large James Ryan, and Australia meet him head on. There's a certain sense of urgency and purpose about the Australians, even just in this opening little stanza of the second half. Australia playing, as I said, towards the Lansdowne Road end, back to Gibson Park, taking his time, trying to set it up onto his right foot, and there's a bit of a breeze there, and he didn't quite make contact with that, so he hasn't made an awful lot of ground. And there is a breeze that seems to be swirling a wee bit. 1 minute it looks like it's favouring Ireland, and the next minute it's favouring Australia. But the Wallabies have the first set piece of the second half, and Ireland pinched one or two from them, but they settled back in and have kept it going. Here comes Fessler, throws, knocked back on the Irish side, gathered in by James Lowe, gets it under his left foot, gives it an almighty Wallabies, kept that in field. Ball is bouncing rather awkwardly. Harry Potter goes back, comes up to the Irish 10-metre line, or his own 10-metre line, little chip down to the hat-trick boy himself, Hansen, back to Prendergast, and he kicks right-footed. Lovely spiral kick by Prendergast, and he's found a very decent touch just inside the Australian half on the far side of the field, and that territorial advantage will give Ireland a bit of a boost, Paul.
Yeah, it's a lovely clearance kick, isn't it, from Sam Prendergast? But just seeing Jamison Gibson Park's first kick, it looked like he was kicking into a bit of a breeze, but it does feel like it's swirling, Jim. 1 minute it feels like it's going one way. The flags are changing on the assistant refs.
Ball is thrown over the back and knocked on by Australia, I do believe, and the referee agrees with me. I'm glad to say Gibson Park gets away to Prendergast, who thought about the kick, then changes his mind and runs to the open side of the field, kicks right-footed down to the 22. Good chasing kick there by Ikitau, one of the try scorers. And I've been handed a very nice cup of hot coffee by a very nice lady camera person. Thank you very much. Very welcome hot coffee, my word. But in the meantime, the hero of the hour, Mark Hansen, has spilled the ball forward, and the Wallabies are going to get the first scrummage of the second half. 2.5 minutes gone, 19-14 to Ireland, as it was at the interval. Just the one change from the sides that took the field initially, and that's Bundyaki coming on midway through that first half for the unfortunate Stuart McCluskey in the stand wearing a very fetching Peaky Blinders cap. Didn't recognise him for a second. It's Peter O'Mahony. What a player he was, Paul.
Yeah, great player. Lovely hat as well, isn't it? So he's
very smart.
Yeah, he's trying to stay below the radar there, having a little beverage. You just feel, Jim, with the start of the second half, couple of mistakes, couple of kicks going a bit awry. It'll be key to get the accuracy right.
Here comes Australia on the charge. Sowley gets her away. Lovely transfer once again. Hansen puts in a very good tackle, and the referee says there was a pass from Australia out to the right wing, was slightly forward, and Ireland giving themselves high fives all round for some very good defence, given the zippiness of this Australian three-quarter line. But Hansen has had a terrific game. Not only can he score tries, he can tackle as well.
Yeah, he's looked alive, hasn't he, Jim? Really electric, having just come back from injury as well. And there was a lot of debate, would it maybe be Stockdale in the 15 shirt? I would have loved to have seen that, and I think many of us would have. But certainly Mac Hansen has done well this evening, and hopefully Jacob might get an opportunity somewhere in the back three next week.
I remember asking Jacob Stockdale in the early days of his career which position he preferred, and he actually said 13, he liked to play outside centre. We've never seen him at outside centre, although he has played there. So scrum to Ireland. 4 minutes gone in the second half. 19-14 to the home side, playing towards the Havelock square end. Referee not altogether happy with what's going on in the scrum. I've got to say that young Paddy McCarthy has stood up very well to the hugely experienced Alan Alatoa, who's winning his 87th cap for the Wallabies today. Played nearly 150 times to the Brumbies, so vastly experienced in terms of his career vis-a-vis young Paddy McCarthy. Let's hope the commentator's curse doesn't take over and he makes a mess of this scrum. With the ball in hand just inside the Irish half, 20-15 metres in from the near touchline, the Irish left, in by Gibson Park. Good squeeze by McCarthy, goes to ground, referee seems to be happy. Gibson Park runs to the open side, moves it a little bit on the wide side. Here comes James Lowe, gets up to halfway, stretches forward, gets to the halfway line, sets the ball behind him. Gibson Park gets it to Prendergast, little chip by Prendergast for Hansen to chase over the far side. Ball knocked back on the Irish side, stabbed through by Tommy O'Brien, away by Australia. Good covering tackle by Jack Conan, Ireland's number 8, and they're trying to get the Australian ball carrier into touch, and they do just that, and that's going to be an Irish line out, but the referee spotted an Irish knock on before that, so in fact the advantage is with Australia, and it's going to be an Australian scrum pull.
Yeah, we saw fireworks, Jim, before the game. We saw Mac Hansen fireworks after 6 minutes. It's nearly been 6 minutes in the second half and we haven't seen anything really. Sure, we haven't, apart from a couple of knock-ons, couple of fumbles. The game just hasn't really settled since half-time, and I do feel that the key thing for Ireland, and it's going to be something that Claire touched on, is the breakdown. Australia slowed up Ireland's ball on so many occasions in that first half. Ireland love to play with tempo. That's what Jamison Gibson Park brings loads of. And just a couple of times Ireland haven't been able to get their tempo into the game, get over the front foot. They've looked a little bit disjointed. There's been a couple of good kicks from Sam Prendergast, challenging kicks in the air, but you just feel like the breakdown is definitely going to be the key part of this second half.
Bit of debate there between Jamison Gibson Park and the English referee Carl Dixon, who's assisted incidentally by the Frenchman Pierre Brousset and Adam Leal from England. The TMO is the vastly experienced Ian Tempest from the Rugby Football Union. And just to remind you of some of the results from earlier today: Italy 14, South Africa 32, England 33, New Zealand All Blacks 19, and Wales 24, Japan 23. Here at Lansdowne Road, the oldest international ground of them all, it's Ireland 19 and Australia 14. Scrum to the Wallabies inside their 10-metre line. They bring it to the open side of the field. Sowell-Lee is missed out. Jorgensen kicks right-footed. That's a huge kick. Hansen has looked very lively. And is he going to let that run? He is going to let that run. It's not going to run all the way across the dead ball line, but he touches it down, and it's going to be a goal line dropout for the Wallabies, and they'll not be unhappy with that, will they?
No, I don't think so. Again, territory pressure, the wind swirling. It actually could have very easily been a 50-22 as well if Jorgensen had got the bounce. It was a great option from Australia. So we'll see with this kick, Jim, just what the weather's like.
Prendergast finds the Irish 10-metre line. It's gathered in by Filippo Dagunu, who sets it up for Australia. Here they come again. James O'Connor gets it away. This is nice stuff. Ireland going for the intercept and then going for the tackle. Wallabies moving up close to the Irish 22, and the crowd at Lansdowne Road give voice to the fact that the Irish defence has been so good, and it's eked another penalty out of Carl Dixon, and high fives all round, particularly from Keelan Doris, the Irish skipper. 7 minutes now gone in the second half. 19-14 the score. Penalty to Ireland, just outside the 22. Near side of the field is the target for Sam Prendergast, and he finds an Ireland early stage of this game making a couple of replacements. McCarthy is going off, and Andrew Porter for Lions goes off, and Jack Cohn leaves the field, and Nick Timoney from Ulster comes on.
Yeah, great to see Nick Timoney. He was great last week, Jim, against Japan. Keelan Doris had been in the 7 shirt. Timoney will go into the 7 shirt, no doubt now, and Doris will go back to 8.
Line out to Ireland just inside the Wallabies half. Back to Prendergast, puts a beater up into the air. Hansen's underneath it. The ball is coming down, well taken in by Harry Potter, who's knocked to the ground, and Keelan Doris scoops up the ball. Ireland on the front foot on the 22. Andrew Porter straight into lovely wide pass taken in by Ryan Baird, gets up to the 22, 5 metres from the near touchdown. The Irish left, and the referee has blown the whistle for a penalty against the Wallabies, and this will go into touch, and somebody has given him a wee bit of back chat. Carl Dixon is not taking any of that, and he's given Ireland another 10 metres to make the touch find into the corner that bit easier, Paul.
Yeah, it's funny, Jim, as that happened, it did look like the tackler had got stuck and hadn't rolled away. Jeremy Williams was over the ball, he looked okay, but the tackler hadn't rolled, and then Nikitau gives away a bit of back chat to the referee. All of a sudden Ireland are 5 metres out with an attacking line out. Well,
plenty of line out options for Ireland. A lot of big men in there. Ryan Baird's a big man. James Ryan is the biggest of all. Dan Sheehan with the throw, well taken at the front by Ryan Baird. Now Ireland drive forward into the back of Sheehan. Are we going to see a trademark Sheehan try? Bundyaki goes in to help Australia, or right at the back of the interfering. Ireland still going for the line, moving forward. Here goes Sheehan, head down. Sheehan goes for the line. Oh my word, he was so close, but it's still there for Ireland. Coming back on the Irish side, and the referee says no, it was held up. No, it was held up, and that's going to mean a goal line dropout. I often think that's a very unfair law of the game. When you do all that work and put all that pressure, and you're held up by maybe millimetres, and next thing you have to receive a kick from the goal line. Is that fair, Paul?
I agree, Jim. It's one of the laws that I personally don't like. I know they brought it in to try and stop repeated scrums and the game slowing up, but to me, I think if I was in charge, which obviously I'm not, but if I was in charge, I think I would give it to the attacking team as a free tap or a tap penalty on the 22, because I feel like, as you say there, Dan Sheehan goes for a try, nearly scores, and now Ireland are probably going to gather the ball back at the halfway line. It seems a bit unjust.
James Slipper, Ulster bound, not James Slipper, what am I talking about? Angus Bell, Ulster bound. James Slipper has retired after a wonderful career, decade and a half in the number 1 shirt for Australia. Most capped player. O'Connor restarts, gets it right down to halfway, gathered in by Prendergast, who's got low outside, and Prendergast puts it up into the air. Hansen's on the chase. There's nobody else except Doris there. Hansen knocked the ball forward. Play on, says the referee. Advantage to the Australian Wallabies deep inside their own 22, the near side of the field, and away goes Wilson. The skipper gets across the 22. Good tackle by Tag Byrne, but Wilson, great man that he is, leads very much by example. Mick Wright, one of the try scorers, dummies the ball, goes to ground, sets it up. Jake Gordon, the scrum half, is in there, 5 metres outside the 22 and 20 metres in from the near touchdown. The Irish left. Again, the Wallabies keeping it fairly tight, just trying to give somebody a decent chance to kick and make a little bit of ground. Is it going to be Gordon himself? I do believe it is, and Gordon sets himself up and kicks right-footed, brings it in field. That's a clever kick. Here comes Lowe. Lowe knocks it backward. Ireland scoop the ball in. That's good work by the boys in green. Gibson Park just inside the Australian half. Ball goes wide, taken on by James Ryan, stopped on the halfway line, back to Gibson Park, brings it back infield again. Prendergast gets it away. Here's Hansen out to Bundyaki, tries to hand off Aru Sualihi, and the ball goes into touch, and that's going to be an Australian line out if I'm not mistaken, as Bundyaki was carried into touch. I do like this Joseph Aru Sualihi, just a youngster. He's a wonderfully gifted footballer.
He's unbelievably gifted, Jim. He's also unbelievably big. He must be about 6'5". I'm sure he's 110 kilos plus, and he can offload. He's got pace. He's physical. Again, I remember being at this same fixture last year on the second row seat watching the game, and I could not believe how big he was, Jim. But he's only a youngster, as you say, and he's got a very, very bright future.
Well, he didn't get any change out of Bundyaki, but the result of all of that is a line out to the Wallabies. We played almost 11 minutes in the second half. The score as it was at the interval here in Dublin 4, Ireland 19, Australia 14. Line out to the Wallabies just outside their own 10-metre line, and it goes well tapped back. Gordon gets away to O'Connor, who kicks right-footed. Where's that going to go? It's going to bounce once and bounce twice and bounce into touch, and that's going to be an Irish line out. But the result is a net gain for the Wallabies by about 15 or 20 metres. They've gone from the far side of the field, the east stand, to where we are commentating from, the west stand. Dan Sheehan with a little bit of a towel gives the ball a wee wipe. Andrew Porter, who's come on for Paddy McCarthy, who played really well in his first start at international level, just his third cap, the youngster. As we mentioned earlier, younger brother of Joe, who may be back. Ireland will be keeping the fingers crossed for the Six Nations, which would give them a fairly decent array of second row forwards if that was the case.
Absolutely, Jim. And Ian Henderson started the season so promisingly. Ryan Baird's at 6, but could easily play in the second row as well. So lots of options.
Tag Byrne won the ball. Got it away to Ryan Baird, who got it away to his skipper Keelan Doris, who's pushed back inside the Irish 10-metre line. Gibson Park whips it away. This is better stuff from Ireland. Prendergast sells a dummy. Prendergast gets away. Prendergast has found a bit of a gap. Here comes Gibson Park. Hold down on the 22 of Australia. Away by Tag Byrne. Bundyaki pops it up. Here come Ireland driving forward again. Number 13, Robbie Henshaw sets it up. Ireland move it to the far side and knocked forward by Porter, and that's the sort of thing that could cost Ireland if the Wallabies can move the ball. I think they're more likely to perhaps put the boot to it. O'Connor has a wee go himself, and there's a half an overlap here, and one of Australia has almost got away. Prendergast tackling wasn't wonderful. Sheehan has to go in again. Sheehan very much in danger of giving away a penalty, but the referee says no. And here come the Australians again. They're still inside their own half on their 10-metre line. Wilson, the skipper, sets it up. Good work, Angus Bell. Off to Belfast at the end of this series of games. High kick down into Irish territory, well taken in by Mac Hansen. Had a wee jiggle at it, but he got it at the second attempt, and he set it up, and surely Australia get themselves offside. No, here come Ireland again. Chance for Ireland to move it. Nicely done. Here comes Aki. Got Henshaw with them. Aki tries to sidestep. Knocked forward by Australia, and that was a bit unfortunate for the Australian left wing three-quarter, Harry Potter. Bundyaki grins fiendishly, but he knows he probably should have got that away. A half a chance for Ireland there, wasn't there, Paul?
Yeah, there was. It just felt like James Lowe, I think it was just cramping Bundy's space a little bit there, and we see some of the lovely slick handling again. Sam Prendergast taking the line on, making a nice break. It just feels a bit, Jim, like it's very edgy stuff out there at the minute. It feels like both teams are almost trying not to lose. I know Australia obviously are 5 points behind, but it feels like they're not really trying to attack the game. They're trying to kick. They're trying to force the other team to make mistakes. They're not really going after it.
Two changes in the Australian front row. Billy Pollard has come on at hooker. Tom Robertson has come on at loose head prop for Angus Bell, who's left the field. Seems to be struggling a wee bit with injury. What have we played now? We played 14 minutes in the second half. It's 14 to Australia, 19 to Ireland. If it stays that way, Ireland will be very happy with the double world champions coming in a week's time. A game you can hear with us on the BBC. Big scrum for Australia, and a legal scrum for Australia. And Jamison Gibson Park thought about taking it quickly, but discretion being the better part of valour, he decided not to. It's one of my favourite poems in the entire world by a wonderful man called Roger McGough, and it was called Discretion is the Better Part of Valour. A long time ago, my goodness me. Anyway, right-footed kick by Prendergast finds a very good touch. His kicking out of hand is good, Paul, isn't it?
Oh, it's excellent, Jim. Again, the first time I saw Sam Prendergast play live, I couldn't believe how attacking his penalty kicks are to the sideline. He really goes for it. He gets some serious yardage, and he certainly is an unbelievably cool customer.
Line out to Ireland, midway between the Wallabies 10-metre line and 22, near side of the field, Irish left. Dan Sheehan, ball held aloft. Ronan Kelleher still to come off the bench, remember. Where's it going to go to? Goes to Tadhg Byrne, who jumps and takes it. Nick Timberly-Axe's pivot. Bundyaki drives forward. The Australians marking him, 2 men on 1. Gibson Park to the near side of the field. Good forward drive once again, this time by Baird. Gibson Park to the open side. Here come Ireland once again. Little dummy there in the middle of the park by Prendergast. Runs well. Pops it back up to Sheehan, who goes to ground on the 22. Gibson Park gets in, brings it to the near side of the field. Ryan Baird gets across the 22 for the first time in ages. Gibson Park now to Prendergast, moves it wide, a bit dangerous. Slips out of the tackle is Robbie Henshaw, gets it to Porter. Porter doesn't pass, puts the head down, sets the ball up nicely. Gibson Park changes direction. Back to Prendergast, right-footed, drop it, goal! Oh, he's nailed it, what a peach by Sam Prendergast. It was a long, long way out. The setup was perfect, the pass was sublime, and the drop goal was simply orgasmic.
Yeah, it was unbelievable, Jim. Great option as well. Ireland had a penalty advantage, so even if he had missed, they would have got another chance. But it also gets Ireland, Jim, that 8 points ahead. It means Australia now need 2 scores to try and get in front. It just gives you that little bit of breathing room.
Well, it's not a dying art. It's still very much there. Sheehan has left the field, and Tadhg Furlong has left the field, and James Ryan has left the field as well. More of all that in a moment. Restart, popped up by James Lowe to Bundyaki, who sets it up just inside his 22, so it can be kicked directly into touch. Nick Timberly-Axe's pivot, they get it away. Ireland trying to run the ball. Tails up rugby at the moment, but they can't afford to make any mistakes, and if they do, Australia, I've no doubt, will pounce. Here come Ireland again. Now they are moving the ball, and here comes Tommy O'Brien. Sells a bit of a dummy, gets himself caught, has to release the ball. Has he released it? Legally, yes, he has. Lovely transfer. James Lowe gets himself caught, and the ball is kept in field. How did he do that? I don't know. Prendergast, huge high kick into the D4 air. Good chasing. Gathered in by Joseph Arusualihi. Back on the Australian side, Alatoa pops it up to Ballatini, who's been pretty quiet for most of this game. Back on the Australian side to O'Connell, right-footed kick. Again, the wind is holding it up, and all the way back goes James Lowe, gathers it in. Mac Hansen says, if you put it up in the air, my old son, and I'll chase it. Well, he does put it up in the air, and well chased by Hansen. What a game he is having. Is there no wrong that he can do? And Gibson Park kicks, and it bounces off an Australian player, and that's not where it was meant to be. And all of a sudden Australia have the ball, and they are now on the front foot. Ikatawa ready with a try under his belt, stopped on halfway. Gordon brings it to the open side, little dummy by the Australian replacement hooker Billy Pollard. Here come the Wallabies again, lovely transfer, spill forward by Valentini. Ireland have the ball inside the Australian half. James Lowe kicks left-footed, needs a bounce, and bounces straight into touch, so they'll come back for the scrum to Ireland as we approach the end of the third quarter.
Yeah, you could see, Jim, what Gibson Park was trying to do there. Tommy O'Brien was on the very far side from where we are. He was in acres of space. There was nobody at home for Australia, and Gibson Park was trying to put a low sort of box kick runner into that bottom corner for him. He mishits it. Australia get a charge down, and it so could have been a try. The game's just started to break up, Jim, in the last few minutes there, and Ireland want to be careful that they keep a little bit of structure, as we talked about earlier. The Australian back three has some serious pace.
Referee having a little word with one of the Australian forwards. one of the replacements. Gibson Park kicks the ball, and there are 2 footballs on the field, and Gibson Park takes it from James Lowe. It's going to be a scrum for the initial infringement. A little gust of wind very nearly lifted my notes up into the stratosphere, but fortunately Paul Marshall, still as alert as ever, managed to nail it down. Just said it's nothing like a biscuit dunked in coffee, even though it's a wee bit on the cold side.
Oh, you need it on an evening like tonight, Jim, don't you?
It is very cold. I mean, it is a time for a game of rugby where most people would be thinking about going to their beds, but no. Off goes Australia's number 14, Filippo Dalgunu. And Andrew Kellaway, wearing number 23, has come on for the Wallabies. It looked as if Dalgunu was going off for a head injury assessment. In the meantime, we resume. We've got a minute of the third quarter still to go. Ireland leading by 22 points to 14. 3 tries from Mac Hansen, 2 conversions, and most recently a drop goal. And the referee has given a free kick against the Australian front row for what looks very much like a bit of the old early engagement. Australia have changed their tight head as well. Say Nongor, spelled Nongor is on. That's a huge high Gary Owen into Australian territory, and it's gone loose and it's been scooped up by Ireland. Yes, it has. The referee said it was knocked on by Australia. Ireland drive for the line through Andrew Porter. Down and up again. Great athleticism from the 19-stone prop. Now Ireland move it wide, little chip to the far side, gathered in by Ireland. It's going to be Tommy O'Brien for another Irish try, and that may just be good enough to see the boys in green home. It was a beautiful kick by Prendergast, who literally hasn't put a foot wrong all day, and Tommy O'Brien was so alert and has run in for his 4th international try in the green jersey. The Gary Owen by Prendergast was dreadfully impressive, and Ireland had to get it back, and they did get it back. A little pass from Gibson Park, head back, chip over the top. Nobody really got near him, and then he went, and that was a splendid try. And the only thing that's blotting the landscape is that the referee's going to have a wee look at something.
On the screen so you can see it. So at the moment we're going to be at a scrum for Ireland.
Not quite sure what that's all about.
Yeah, I think he's just checking that Ireland maybe fumbled the ball forward as well. Australia definitely fumbled it first.
Well, Nick Timoney was underneath it, and he knocked the ball backwards. That was knocked backwards. Now, did James Lowe knock it forward?
Okay.
Yeah, it looks like James Lowe maybe did.
Clearly knocked on by Gold first, then by Green, so it was scrum down, Green ball, no try.
What a pity, Jim, because that was a tale of 2 beautiful kicks from Sam Prendergast. The big spiral bomb, Gary Owen, was unbelievably good. They're so hard to catch. The ball deviates on the way down, and it was a beautiful little crossfield kick to Tommy O'Brien. So unfortunate to come back.
Oh, Tommy will be very cross, won't he?
Yeah, Tommy's had some strike rate so far in his international career, but
he certainly has. 4 cast, 3 tries. This might have been 4 from 4. He's just sitting, trying to gather his thoughts, thinking, what was wrong with that? I didn't do anything wrong.
Australia, number 18, Zaid Nongor, replacing number 3, Alan Alatua. And substitution for Ireland, number 10, Sam Prendergast.
Big cheer from the Ulster contingent in the crowd here, because onto the pitch has come the replacement outside half, Jack Crowley. So Ireland, not for the first time, have 2 pretty decent outside halves. The history of Irish rugby has been littered down the years with contests between 2 men vying for number 10 jerseys. Into the final quarter now, Ireland 22-14, it might well have been more. But the Tommy O'Brien try was chalked off. Jack Crowley standing just to the near side of the scrum, the near side of the field. Ireland just inside the Australian 22 by about 6 or 7 metres, and just slightly to the near side of these posts. Ireland play towards the Havelock square end. Little strange with the fields of Athenry, threatening to break out all over the place. Only happens when Ireland are in good form. That try by O'Brien might just have put the tin lid on it, but there's a long way to go still. More than a penalty against Australia, messing about in the scrum. And that's going to be... Now, what do Ireland do here, Paul? Do they go for the 3 points just to cover fasten the lead?
I think so, Jim. Yeah, Jack Crowley straight away. Jack Crowley pointed towards the post. And again, it takes you beyond a converted try and a penalty, Jim, by getting another 3 points to that 11-point margin. Forces Australia to need to get 2 tries and at least 1 conversion. It's a really swirly night. It's a kick in front of the posts. I think it's a pretty good option.
Jack Crowley, his first attempt at points in this game. First choice for the first 2 games, New Zealand and Japan. Off the bench for this one against Australia. Right-footed, and the Munsterman pops it between the Australian posts. And it's now Ireland 25 and Australia 14. Mr. Farrell on our screens, face fairly impassive, not giving too much away. There's still a fair bit to go. Another Australian replacement, Rob Valentini, has gone off. Carlo Tizzano, wearing number 20, has come on for the Wallabies to play in the back row. Kick by Gibson Park, high up in the air, hasn't made an awful lot of ground. Where's that going? Wonderful gather in by James Lowe, pinched it from under the noses of a couple of Wallabies. Gibson Park thought about maybe having a wee sortie in the narrow side, and they've popped it up, and it's Tom Clarkson who's come on for the great Tadhg Furlong. Back now to Crowley, his first kick from out of hand. What a kick that is, right-footed, and just managed to keep it in. James O'Connor, was there a toe and touch? The crowd thought so. Touch judge didn't. Good gather by Crowley on the far side of the field. Pops it away to his skipper, Keelan Doris, who gets ambushed by a couple of Wallabies on his own 10-metre line. Gibson Park now to Hansen, who moves it wide. Here comes Robbie Henshaw off his right foot from the right wing. Comes back in field. A bit of help from O'Brien. Gibson Park pops it up. Wallabies surely light years offside. Referee seems to be happy with that. Ireland very nearly got the ball intercepted, but Andrew Porter, who's come off the bench, a rare appearance off the bench. Normally he's a starter. Gibson Park back to Crowley. Crowley kicks right-footed for this, the near side of the field. Where's that going to go? It's well gathered in. Good. And Kellaway kicks it forward. And the referee blows the whistle and says that was knocked on. I think there might have been an offence by Ireland, who got themselves offside. So a penalty to Australia with 16 minutes remaining.
Yeah, again, a soft penalty, Jim. Bundy Keys in front of the kicker there. He just needs to wait until he's put onside. It's a very soft penalty. It gives Australia a chance to get the ball back into this Irish bottom corner here and try and get a penalty, or a try, sorry.
Well, a try would bring them to within more than touching distance, and don't be surprised if that is the case. James O'Connor with this kick has found some very good touch finds, and that's another one. The crowd give a wee bit of a boo. They thought it had gone over or infield and over the corner flag, but it hasn't. It's gone within 5 metres, so this is the most important line out of the game so far, Paul.
Yeah, it's the closest Australia have been, Jim, for some time. They'll want to capitalise.
Pollard throws, ball goes over the back, taken in by Ireland. Away goes Keelan Doris. Nick Timoney's in there to help him. Ireland go to ground. They've made some 15 metres. They're still inside their own 22, so they get it back to James Lowe onto the left foot. And Lowe has put it long, gathered in by Kellaway. Pops it in field to Jorgensen, who's got Sao Lee outside him. It's Kellaway who wraps around. Little chip kick by Kellaway. That's a very decent kick. Hacked on the fly by Australia, and that's not a bad effort at all. And there was Harry Potter on the far side. Legged it down, and what a very clever kick that was by Potter. Wonderful control.
Yeah, it was fantastic, wasn't it, Jim? Just kicked it through in the volley, and if the ball had stayed in play, it would have been try Australia. So great improvisation there.
Well, you give this Australian side half a chance, and they will more than take it. Line out to Ireland on the far side. Number 16, Roland Kelleher, is on for his old pal and rival Dan Sheehan. Kelleher throws, well taken at the front by Ireland. Gibson Park gets it away. Here comes Keelan Doris, bounces off a couple of gold shirts. In there goes Ryan Baird. Kelleher just steps back, clears out a leg to make it easier for Gibson Park to kick. Australia surely have straight offside. Gibson Park right-footed, and that is a beater of a clearance kick. He really has kicked pretty superbly out of hand, Jemison Gibson Park.
He has, Jim, and it's a great exit. It just takes so much pressure off. Your forward pack are getting up from a ruck. They're seeing the ball near the halfway line. It just relieves so much pressure, and Ireland's line-out's been so good. Ryan Baird in particular has been superb, and it gives them a chance to try and steal the ball.
Wallabies win the ball at the front of the line out, but it's gone all over the place, and Jorgensen has to come into the line, and he kicks it straight into the hands of Mac Hansen, who gives it a right-footed wallop, and all the way back goes Jorgensen inside his 22, steps outside his 22, and he kicks. Ireland covering back once again. Tommy O'Brien moves it wide. James Lowe thinks about it. He again puts it up in the air. There's an awful lot of ping pong going on out there. Well taken by Callaway. He does exactly the same. Down into the near corner. Baird lets it bounce off his foot and gets the left foot to it as he finds his touch this time. No, he hasn't. This is going to exhaust the forward pack. We don't know what's going on here. O'Connor puts it in field, little chip into space. Gibson Park sells a lovely dummy, outrageous dummy, and kicks right-footed. That's a clever kick. It's going to bounce once and twice and three times. I don't think it's going to go across the dead ball. I know it's not. It's going to be dotted down. And another clever kick by Gibson Park. He judged that just about perfectly. Another half pound per square inch pressure, and that would have gone dead. And they would have come all the way back for the scrum, and as it is, it's a goal line dropout for Australia. We have about 12 minutes remaining. Ireland leading this all-important test by 25 points to 14, and I don't think in terms of world placings, if Ireland win this one, they will move up at all, but they certainly won't move down, which is what the worry was. Restart kick taken by Crowley. Crowley runs up to the Australian 10-metre line, puts it high up in the air. Are there any green jerseys underneath? Yes, there are, and one of them is Mac Hansen. And if there's anybody going to get the man of the match or the player of the match award, it'll have to be Hansen. A little bit of a collision there. They move it to the near side of the field. Here comes Aki. Gets it away to Prendergast, who's on the field. Low up the near touchline. Hold down 5 metres away. Gibson Park in quickly. Little flat ball. Beautifully done. Here come Ireland yet again as Crowley goes to ground. Midway between the near touchline and the Australian post, 5 metres away. Hansen takes it, looking to become only one of less than a handful of men to score 4 tries in international. Gibson Park pops it up. Ireland drive for the line. They're held up 2-3 metres away. Just an arm's length between Ireland and certain victory here on the oldest international ground in the world. They're still waiting for it to come back. Prendergast is in there and he's watching. Round comes Nick Timoney. Here go Ireland again. Drive for the line. Surely they're over. Not quite. Still held up. Gibson Park looks one way, then looks to the narrow side, looks to the open side, gives it to Big Tig Byrne. He propels himself forward. Here come Ireland yet again. Andrew Porter looking for another try. Ireland moving infield a little bit. Ryan Baird steps off. Now they drive again, trying to squeeze the ball back between the legs. Wallabies digging in, not yet giving away anything resembling a penalty. They're too careful. Here go Ireland right at the end. Porter can't get over. Wonderful tackling by Australia. Gibson Park, the captain, Keelan Doris has got over, and Doris has got the try. Surely that's a try, and even the referee, I think, is convinced that it has been a try.
Great patience, Jim, from Ireland. Just Gibson Park again controlling things at the back. What a take from Mac Hansen in the air, Jim. That's what it all stemmed from. He's been unbelievable, scoring 3 tries, but his aerial work has been superb. The amount of balls he's won in the air, and it's just patience, Jim. And Keelan Doris won't score many easier tries than that.
Mr. Hansen for your man of the match, I'm sure.
It's pretty hard to look beyond someone, Jim, who scored a hat-trick, isn't it? And I think Ryan Baird has been absolutely superb, especially in the defensive line-out. He's had so many steals.
Ryan Baird has been very good in all 3 games.
Yeah, he really has. And again, Ireland's line-out has come under a bit of pressure the last couple of weeks. Their line-out's been superb this evening, and they put the Australian line-out under a lot of pressure. It's been a real positive night for Ireland.
And what a conversion from the touchline by Jack Crowley. And that takes Ireland up to 30, and they're leading now by 30 points to 14, and we're into the final 10 minutes of this game.
They're just checking
What is Carl Dixon doing now?
So I'm at
They're
the
ready
screen,
at one
Tempo, so
try
let me know
choked
when
off for Ireland.
So live, we had two players coming together. But clearly seeing something different.
We'd be allowed to go back to the days where the referee was the sole arbiter of fact, and it was up to him to see whether it was a try or not. I don't know what was going on there. There was a tackle on Kelleher, who went to ground.
I think it's Clarkson.
A wide angle call as well.
Yeah, I think it's one of the Australian players catches Thomas Clarkson off the ball. So it will be against Australia if it's anything.
He's active in the tackle.
So they could start the second half. They could start now with a penalty against Australia from the halfway line.
Tempo, I have a decision.
Back to you, Colin.
Okay, so gold 19 is active in the tackle. Originally I just thought it was two players coming together. Gold 19 is active. He comes forward and makes shoulder contact to the neck, head area, which meets the yellow card threshold, so it'll go for a bunker review.
Yellow card with the option of the bunker, which is very tough on an Australian. Big second row forward Nick Frost, who'd come in as a replacement, has gone off the field. So Australia down to 14 men and now trailing by 14 points for themselves to 32 by Ireland, who have really picked it up in the second half. Little chip kick, restart kick gathered in by James Lowe, who's ambushed by Kellaway, but he gets it back in the field, and Wilson pops it back in the field too, and Bundyaki takes it and is brought to ground just inside the Irish 22, 2 or 3 metres from the near touchline, the Irish left. Craig Casey is on, wearing number 21 for Ireland, I can tell you. And is he going to get it away, or is he going to kick it himself? He's going to kick it for himself, and he kicks left-footed, and the wee fella finds a touch, and the man who he replaced, Gibson Park, stands and catches the ball. It's going to be a line out to the Wallabies with just about 8 minutes and a wee bit to go. And Ireland leading now by 30 points to 14. They've got a fourth try in the second half. They were leading by 19-14 at the interval. A hat trick from fullback Mac Hansen, 2 conversions and a penalty.
Yeah, Mac Hansen's going off now, Jim. Gibson Park's coming on at fullback now, so he can do everything. He can play scrum half, he can play fullback, he can do it all.
And Tom Clarkson, I think, is going off the field after that contact. No, he's not. Is he on yet? And Tadhg Furlong comes back on again, because there obviously is an HIA after that contact for Tom Clarkson. So Mac Hansen leaves to thunderous applause. He'll never get a bigger hand than that one. Ireland couldn't quite win the ball. Here come Australia looking for one last little flourish perhaps. There's still time, you know. A couple of quick tries will take them up to 28, and then you might never know what's going to happen after that. So Ireland have a lot to do. Australia move the ball wide. Good tackling on the far side of the field. The Irish right by the boys in green. And the ball, I think, is about to come back on the Irish side, but the referee says it's a penalty to Australia, and they thought about the quick tap, but they're going to go into the corner, courtesy of replacement outside half. Tainon was, and he struck that very nicely indeed, and that's going to be a line out to the Wallabies. They're not done yet, Paul.
No, if they score now, Jim, as you said, there's still time. It's interesting. Mac Hansen must have gone off for an HIA or a blood injury himself for Jamison Gibson Park to come back on, so hopefully it's nothing too severe with Mac, and hopefully Thomas Clarkson's okay as well.
Edmonds kick right into the corner, line out to Australia, 10 metres from the Irish line. They get this one absolutely right, and they're driving forward, and right at the back is the man who threw it in, Billy Pollard, the hooker. Referee's still happy with the way Ireland are defending this, and no, he's not. He's got the hand out for a penalty against Ireland. It might be against Cian Doris, who needs just to watch himself, playing advantage to the Australians, who are within 5 metres of the Irish line, far side of the field. Little sortie to the far side. Tom Robertson, the replacement loose head prop, is held up just 5 metres away, maybe a little bit less than 5 metres. Ireland grobbling away for the ball as hard as they can, but the referee has finally decided to give a penalty. Prendergast on, remember, the Prendergast the elder. That's Cian Prendergast, the Connacht skipper. Little tap and go by Australia. Good defending by Ireland. Read that nicely. The man who tapped and went was stopped And again, wonderful stuff by Tadhg Byrne. Really no regard for his own safety. Stopped the Australian driving forward, but the Wallabies still pushing on. Just about 6 minutes remaining, and they've got themselves across the line, and they've got themselves a try, and that is a try by Australia, and it's Billy Pollard gets his second international try, and the Wallabies by no means out of this.
No, the only tricky bit is now it's going to be the conversion, Jim, with the wind. Australia 13 points down. So realistically, they're still going to need 2 more tries, and they're going to need potentially this kick or 2 more to come. So it's a really, really key kick, but it's a very, very tough kick.
32 points to Ireland. Now 19 points to the Australians. Big kick out from the far side by Edmed. Right on the far touchline, the Australian left, midway between the 22 and 10 metre line of Ireland. Edmund digs it underneath it as he pulled that one in. No, he hasn't. Bit of a let off there for Ireland with just over 5 minutes to go. 32-19 for the home side.
Yeah, Australia chasing 2 converted tries now, Jim. 5 minutes to go. It's a big ask, but it is still possible. You just feel now Ireland want to get the ball deep into Australia territory. Australia, you imagine, will try and maybe run it a bit more now. Ireland put the pressure on if they can, try and force a mistake.
Jack Crowley to kick to the far side of the field. The Irish right. Crowley gives it a nice little touch, a wee bit too far, well gathered in by Australia on the far side. They come outside the 22, so they can't kick it directly into touch. Edmed puts it into a little bit of space. This could bounce anywhere, and it bounces into an Irish hand, and it's been well taken in by Ireland, by Prendergast. Hansen gets it away. Gibson Park steps back in field. Good work, and here comes Henshaw. Managed to get away. Ireland have got men outside this here. James Lowe tried to get it away. It was blocked by an Australian hand. Lowe still has kept possession of the ball, but so it wasn't knocked forward by Ireland. Ball back on the Irish side. Tadhg Furlong replacing the injured Clarkson. Sets it up. Casey, Crowley, Henshaw moves it wide. Bundyaki sets off and is hauled down, and Australian in the way. Referee has given a penalty. Hands on the ground in the tackle by Australia. You're not allowed to go in. You can put your hands on the ball, but you're not allowed to put your hands on the ground when you assume what's known as the jackal position these days. And Ireland are not going to go for the post, which would definitely give them the victory. They're going to go for the corner. Right decision, Paul?
I think I would go 3, Jim. I would just go beyond the 2 converted tries. But they're obviously feeling like if they can go down into that corner, take a couple of minutes, it'll kill the game off. I still would have tried to get to 16. It was a very poor penalty from Fraser McWright. He never gets in around the back foot. Hands are on the ground. It's a very easy one in front of Carl Dixon.
Overall, though, Paul, much better performance than a week ago against Japan.
It is, yes. I think the Japanese took a while to break down. Ireland came out of the blocks very quickly tonight, put Australia under pressure. Australia did come back into it, but Ireland have been much more assured in the second half.
Quick ball back from the line out. Here goes Bundyaki. Sells an outrageous dummy. Hold down 4 metres away. Wonderful front foot ball. Casey pops it up. Ireland go for the line. Referee is right on the spot, and he says that is another Irish try. And what a finish it is by Ireland. And who's getting up with the ball?
I think it was Ryan Baird, Jim. It looked like he ran that line.
I think it is indeed. You're very right. It is Ryan Baird. What a wonderful way for the big fella to end what's been a wonderful series for him so far. And the Springboks to come next week. So another try for Ireland. This time Ryan Baird, the back row forward. And he was a man who was perhaps a bit unlucky not to go on the Lions tour.
Yeah, certainly he was thereabouts, and again he offers so much. He can play in the second row, he can play in the back row. He's so athletic. He's been unbelievable tonight, Jim, in the lineouts. He's created havoc for Australia on their ball. He's been very assured for Ireland, and as I said, I imagine it'll be a Mac Hansen man of the match. If it wasn't, Ryan Baird would have been right up there.
Well, the conversion was added by Jack Crowley, so with 2 minutes to go, 20 points between them. Australia have managed just one unconverted try in the second half. Ireland have scored 20 points. Ball knocked back on the Irish side rather untidily, but well picked up by Keelan Doris, getting back to his best after an injury, and not the greatest pass in the world by Casey to Tommy O'Brien, and he gives him a high five and says, "I'm sorry." He wasn't all that terribly sympathetic, and Peter O'Mahony sitting in the stand. I wonder what's going through the mind of one of Ireland's greats. I remember that wonderful game he played here a few years ago when the New Zealand All Blacks were defeated, and he's taken the cap off so everybody will see his smiling physog.
Lovely moment there. It looks like I assume it must be a brother. It looks very like him beside him, Jim.
That's the image of him.
Yeah, pops the cap off him, and just to embarrass Pete, and then he has to acknowledge the crowd, and he gets a lovely cheer, which is great to see.
I think Ryan Baird has gone into the second row with James Ryan, and playing on the blind side of the flank, and the other side is Tadhg Byrne. Nick Timoney playing on the open side, on the near side. So it's a scrum to Ireland. We're into the final minute of this game. Ireland would maybe just want to try to move the ball a little bit. That's a very good Irish scrum, and the referee has given a penalty against the Australians. Casey moves it wide. Here comes Aki. Better stuff by Ireland. Little floating pass taken in by Gibson Park. Back on the field, shows the ball. James Lowe up the near touchline. Wonderful in contact. In goes Casey, gets it away. His Munster teammate is there as well. A little bit of a mispass there, but Robbie Henshaw, who's defied the years, does a nice little sidestep, gets across the Wallabies 10-metre line, 15 metres in their touchline. Porter gets it away. Crossfield kick. Who's out on the far side? It's Kelleher, who sells a lovely dummy. Kelleher up to the 22, has got a little bit of help from Casey. Lovely flat pass by Casey. Furlong, better stuff from Ireland. Good tackle once again by Sualihi, but the referee says knocked on. Crossfield kick, gathered into Robbie Henshaw. Ireland are going to get another one. Final fling by Robbie Henshaw. And that's try number 6 for Ireland. And what a day they're having against the Australians, who couldn't pick it up after the defeat by Italy. They showed signs of their one-time greatness, but would have to give second best to an Ireland side that really have improved since a poor display against Italy a week ago. It was a lovely individual run, nice little dummy by the hooker Ronan Kelleher, and then, well, it was all down to the cleverness and the thinking of Jamison Gibson Park, Paul.
It's a beautiful little crossfield kick from Jamison Gibson Park to Henshaw. But Jim, what's so impressive, you know, I was with many rugby kids this morning. We're trying to teach them hold the ball in two hands. That's what Ronan Kelleher did. If you're running with the ball in two hands, you've got the option to pass, and it fools all the Australians. He gives a couple of dummies, makes a break, and then he creates that. All comes from that crossfield kick from Jack Crowley to Ronan Kelleher, and then the follow-up from Jamison Gibson Park. It's beautiful to watch.
Conversion by Crowley is an absolute belter. Anything Prendergast can do, Crowley can do. Ireland with two more than decent outside halves and one or two more than decent players otherwise. Conversion by Crowley, 6 tries for Ireland, and they won this one at a canter in the end, 46 points to 19, and that will do Irish rugby no harm whatsoever.
It's brilliant, Jim. It's so exciting. It was entertaining. The crowd came in their droves tonight. That's what they wanted to see. And my goodness, are the appetites going to be wet for next week, Jim? South Africa, the double World Cup winners, coming to town. It's all going to be on it next weekend.
Well, I think I'm going to have to go home and lie down in a darkened room. What a great performance. We worried about Ireland in the second half as the Wallabies threatened to come back, but we needn't have. Oh, ye of little faith, they might say to all of us. They've won this one very handily. Final score, Ireland 46, Australia 19.
Oh, you had that little lie down, Jim. You deserve it. It's been a long day. Now, we'll get plenty of reaction and analysis to that big win for Ireland over Australia. But now, with the time at just after 1 minute past 10, we'll get the latest BBC News.